Dear Venerable Sisters and Brother Dhamma friends, today is January 25th in 2020. It's time for the day's Dhamma talk. May everyone settle down for the talk and give the consent with sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Samma samadhi mi bhikkave asati. Samma samadhi vipannassa hatupanisaṁ hoti. Yatha bhuta jnana dassanam ti. Dear Venerable Sisters and Brother Dhamma friends, we are taking one step ahead along this particular discourse, Satisampajanna Sutta, or discourse on mindfulness. It says when there is no right concentration, and for one deficient in right concentration, the knowledge and the vision of things as they are really lack its proximate cause. So relationship between the right concentration and the yatha bhuta jnana dassana. This is a very philosophical, very deep, very respected link in religious point of view. And this one and the scientific development, there are some kind of parallelism. So therefore, this statement someone can use to see whether this, with our experience, is something verifiable or tangible, whether the other person also can experience the same, or it is highly dependent on your faith, highly dependent on what you believe. So therefore this yatha bhuta jnana dassana is a kind of a synonym for vipassana. So whenever my concentration, right concentration is fulfilled, if you are with it and if you are endowed with it, you get the proximate cause for this right knowledge and the vision on the things as they are is assured. So we all in this congregation are really concerned about it. And even though we are really put forth our energy and all the kind of thing, even though we have that kind of a right direction, we all are in doubts. Everyone. So we are on the way, verifying, on the way, clearing the doubt. So therefore, we have to listen attentively and attend to it, just like in scientific experiment, not only by once, we have to do 1,001 times. So first and foremost, the beginning of the verifiability and the touch is quite enlightening and hilarious and breaking through like. But to get the confirmation, but to get the reinforcement, seasoning, we have to do it again and again and again. I have no any underestimation about once reaching it, once first stepping into that. Many would have experienced it. That's why we are looking forward. But what is lacking is we are not sustainable. We are doing in a regular manner. And therefore, still there are rooms for the entertainment of doubts. So there is no other way. First and foremost, you have to understand that very experienced I had one day is a kind of a connection between the concentration and the seeing things as they are. The next day it will not happen because of the alignment. If the alignment is there, that we call the concentration, and then you can see the power transmission. If the concentration is not there, there is no power transmission. So only you have to do is till you get the alignment, till you get the power, the straightening of your limbs, you have to keep on adjusting. And then again another day, when the alignment happens, you can see power transmission. And it is not human. It is it's a law of things. So our responsibility, or my responsibility, is to make it align, and again, tirelessly, and not by one chance, number of times. So that we call tapasa, or restraint, or hermit, or a monk, or a mendicant. Tirelessly, incessant way, we are doing the same thing again and again and again and again. That is the way we can verify it, not that we have not tasted it. So yesterday we tried to understand how the virtues, or virtuous behavior leading to concentration. And we try to understand there are some early signs whenever it is happening, each and every day, each and every sitting. You have to start like a beginner and align, make groundworks, and then if you are more experienced yogi, within few seconds or within few breaths time, within few left and right steps time, you understand the alignment is happening, the gathering of the momentum or the acceleration, where you find the mind is not much roaming past and future, mind is not too much of energy or too lack of energy, and mind is too much attracted or with much likings and disliking. So that's a kind of a sign. And on top of that, you have to understand when such conducive conditions and early signs happens, your faith and the wisdom arising, but never happen them in a balanced way. Faith is always undermining the wisdom. Wisdom is always undermining the faith. So therefore, while they are growing, you have to see something like aerodynamics. Whenever the plane is taken from the runway, the captain has to seriously think about the balancing. That's why he says when it's about to take off, everyone must seated, put belts, and even the cabin crew has to give the full support. Well, it's very critical. So likewise, the faith and the wisdom has to balance. Energy aspect and the concentration aspect, they are also contradictory at the beginning. So energy and the concentration also must be balanced. If you are too much of energy, the excitement, agitation and perplexity can happen. If it's too much of lack of energy, sleepiness, slimy mind, or sloth and torpor can set in. So if you can catch them in the early signs, better, easier. But if you are negligent, if you fail to understand early signs, then you succumb to the situation and you have to suffer a loss. So it is very important when the concentration is gaining the ground, so balance the then and there arising faculties. So in other words, these faculties, faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration and the wisdom, always in a variable situation. Except mindfulness, all the others are contradictory each other. They become complementary whenever you give the priority to mindfulness and observe their imbalanced situation. That very observation itself is helping you to take the situation under control. Not to become emotionally get involved, but you have to understand they are changing. That is the nature. And they are not purposely contradictory each other. So you have to make the balance. So when the balancing happens, so we say, if the balance is already gained, then no much of energy needed. You can let it happen by its own equilibrium, just like when you put into the first gear without knocking the engine, and then you know when it is vehicle is moving, when you put into the second gear, third gear, the burning of fuel for a unit length is less. So if you are a good driver, you are not taking too much of time in the first gear, unless otherwise you are in the up climbing. And so you got into the second gear, third gear, so you know how to conserve energy, something like when you become experienced yogi, you are not worrying much about the quantity, you understand the quality and the balance, the equilibrium. So it's a very subtle balancing. No one can teach. Simply say, you can't put that into technical writing. It's then and there. So that is why it says, better to start in your early part of your life. When your hairs are black and you have enough vigor, and first 1/3 of the life, by looking at the audience, I feel sorry. Can't help. Because about 30-40 years back, even this much people were not interested in looking at this cultivation, this meditation, this mindfulness. Now it is happening, so it has to go backward. You have to go home and teach your children not about the extrovert thing. I mean, it is also important, not that I am undermining it. So when you are growing, they have enough vigor, they have enough stamina, they have enough, the faculties are very bright, and only thing is impatient. So if it is happening, the gaining of the concentration is not depending on single factor, single variable. It's a number of variables. So things what I have mentioned are the most important and salient factors. But there are a lot of. And when you are writing your interview report, that is what you are mentioning. Today it was like that. I did this kind of adjustment and it was a success. I did this kind of adjustment, it was a failure. So both success and the failure have equal values. Because this is the point where the plane is going to be. Not on the solid, now on the aerodynamics. So, Venerable Katukunda Jnananda, Thero used to say, 215 years before the Oval Right and Wilbert Wright started this game of earning and gaining and understanding about the aerodynamics, no one thought a metal piece can fly. They'd be like a foolish when they are trying. But after 200 odd number of years now, we know they are right. They are not fool. We will be right and all right. Both are right. Now we know. So before the spiritual endeavor started, people never thought we can go into this kind of a consciousness which is unrelated to sense organs. I coined the word anindriya patibaddha vijnana. So far, our mind is always depending on the eye, visual objects, ear, the sounds, nose, the smell, tongue, the taste, body, the tactile sensation, mind and thinking. So whenever these 10 factors come into a line, you simply put them away, you earn another kind of equilibrium, so that mind, if you consider it as a globe, is from the peripheral area, it is now slowly come to centralize to the center point. But this concentration area is very critical area, and that is the point people become religious. People become spiritual. And there are a lot of ways and means to come up to that level. Many are not right. By alcohol, by drugs, and by many addicts, people can come up to that kind of a separation from your sense organs. But they never consider as the right concentration. So it's a very subtle definition to say many ways people are using it, and so we can't find fault with them. Just like we religious people try to gain the concentration, the addiction, or misuse of material, medicine, and lot of things, They are using it again and again because they are slave to that situation. But the beauty of the teaching of the Buddha, you can gain it without external substance. Only by kind of a, we call meditation, kind of a technique we call mindfulness. But when it is gaining, still there is a danger. Sometimes you may be overestimating yourself. Or sometimes you may be underestimating due to too much of critical thinking. Or you may exert too much of energy. Or you may exert to lack of energy, so the bullet will not go to the target. If it is the bullet to go into the target, it must be proper amount of energy with concentration, focusing. Otherwise it won't. So likewise, it's a kind of an art. It's very beautiful, very aesthetic. It's a fun. But many people are trying to make it a science, trying to make it a square thing, trying to write formulas, try to write the theories and kind. No, it's a trial and error. So whatever the mistake you have done, everything excused. Whenever you reach it, you have to say, sorry darling, reaching at once is simple, it's insignificant. You have to do it again and again and again. When it's happening, all the 5 aspects, all the 5 faculties, now I am referring to the faculties as the faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration and wisdom. They are just like when you stretch your 5 fingers, they are 5 directed in the 5 sides. So it ultimately comes to Indriyanam ekarasata. Everything comes to the single objective. Every added value, everything is going to the one direction. So there humanity is being surpassed. When as far as they are in 5 directions, we are fighting and we are utter human. We are utterly desperate. We are utterly macerated. So whenever they come together, you become superhuman. That's the point where the concentration becomes your blessing, endowment. And the concentration also, there are 17 junctions. So you have to define which concentration you are referring to. The commentators, they say, as far as the concentration is concerned, upachara atta samapatti. The access concentration to the first jhana is the starting point, and the 8th jhana, neither perception nor non-perception is the last one. And when Jnanarama used still kind of analytical, he says, access concentration to the first jhana, and the first jhana, 2 things. Access concentration to the second jhana, and second jhana is another couple. Likewise, 17 junctions. And from where you are going to take a turn to vipassana. Whenever the concentration sets in, different people, they make use different junctions. And a single person also can, the person who started with access concentration the first jhana, maybe next time whenever he or she gain mastery to the second jhana, that access concentration to the second jhana also may be another junction. So likewise it depends. To avoid unwanted repercussions, the Buddha says, 4th jhana is the medium and average Samma Samadhi. It says, Chatutta jhanam upekha sati parisuddhing chatutta jhanam. The fourth jhana must be facilitated and with the proximate factor of the mindfulness and the equanimity. Because when the Prince Siddhartha, becoming a hermit, he went through all kind of things. And at that time, they were masters. And they have specialized on this concentration and developed extrasensory perception. And they have a lot of magical powers. And everyone, even today, expect, go to India to see these powers. But they all are not based upon correct concentration. So therefore, more you develop on that kind of thing, you get more perverted and you get caught up in the same cycle, sometimes short cycles, sometimes long cycles. Whenever your arch becomes straightforward and it is leading to the infinitum. That is the kind of concentration helpful for the middle path, helpful to go beyond the orbit of the samsaric journey. All the concentration are with tangent to the middle line, so therefore after short or long time, it's come back to the same. And that is we call samsara. It is we call perpetuation. But we can slowly straighten it. For the first time when I read No Boundaries by Ken Wilber, he is explaining this in a mathematical way, how we can straighten our mind to see infinitum. Never compromise for halfway tangents. Everyone is in a tangent. So therefore we are on the process. We are on the process of patipada, and each and every mistake is kind of a cumulative effect. So don't throw away, because you have done with your time under your very nose, red-handed, so everything is important. So therefore anyone doing any meditation or mindfulness, you have to facilitate maximum. Because they are not indulging sense pleasure. They are not going to, they are not become slaves to the sensuous pleasure. Of course, they may be doing, but slowly sacrificing and going to, instead going to have the jhanic pleasure. It is called immaterial pleasure. The sensuous pleasure called material pleasure, that means you have to have visual objects to satisfy your eye. That's why today we have so much of televisions and 3D and black and white and holographic and lot of things. Very advanced to go to hell. And the sounds, Dolby system, the stereo system, Western music, Eastern music, Northern Indian one, Southern Indian one, traditional music, so much of. Jazz music, rock music, lot of things. And that is the way world is developing. That is called worldly development. On the smells wise, more than males, females are going to the stores. You sell scents. It's very expensive. One droplet is so much. I bring him from far away of the world. And very expensive. But they think that rich people can achieve it. That is what the richness. If you are rich, you can have a lot of different scents. Otherwise, other people live with their own skin smell. We call haduganda in Sinhala. And if you feel a monkey, you can recognize but by this their native smell. And we can recognize each and every animal by their normal smell. That is why they recognize it. When you are dressing your dog and make it, the dogs cannot understand each and every one. Because you have messed them all the signaling system. They are only going by smell. And the taste-wise, if you go to a junction, present day, you can have Italian, you can have Indian, you can have Chinese, you can have local, all the kind of thing. Earlier it is only possible for Maharajas, not achievable for normal people. Even the Maharajas eat in the night what is little bit putrefied, prepared for the lunch. They don't have fridges and kind of thing. and the luxuries and furnitures and everything, you see what a kind of, and when we are going, people throw away so much of furniture on Thursday, I think. I thought of coming with a container and everything, accumulate everything and send it to Sri Lanka, so that we can at least make use it. So these people are quite renounced. Whenever they need new one and throw away. In that sense, I mean. They don't have so much of desire for the old ones and throw away. And the thinking-wise, just see a small child. What the things they are thinking now? You're unimaginable. So this is what you call materialistic pleasure. And we measure gross national production or individual, I don't know that criterion, the per capita income. So the highest rank is the worst people with mental upsets. Not someone has done it. So they have no time to spend their money. Simply. So this is what happens. So the disparity of the economy, worst in the whole human history. So this is normal situation, I have nothing to reiterate, but instead think, mind is not the past, not the future, not with too much of energy, not lack of energy, not with desire, not with hatred. And when the mind is in the middle path, it's utterly, the Buddha mentioned it, vivekajang piti sukhang. The piti, rapture, and sukha, pleasure arising from solitude. Solitude of what? Solitude of eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and the mind. Solitude from visual objects, sounds, smells, taste, tactile sensation and thoughts. So it was not an invention of Buddha. Because Buddha experienced it at the age 7 days old. And then as a hermit, he went through the whole range. And that is how the material pleasure is being replaced by immaterial pleasure. And that is what we call from sila to samadhi, mind is evolving. This evolution is not happening and it is being stopped for 20 million years ago because of self-indulgence and sensuous pleasure. They can't go inside because they are utterly slave to the eye, ear, nose, tongue. But there were a few little bit of people were experimenting on. That is how the Siddhartha, the prince, the day he went out of the inner city, he saw ledek mahallek malaganda pavitek, a sick person, old person, a dead corpse, and a person renounced. That was such a shock for him. I am a prince to be, kings to be, and I have never seen such a sick person, old person, dead body and a renunciation. And the answer for the first three, catastrophes, old age, sickness and the death, the renunciation, he found it. So immediately decided to renounce, because this immaterial pleasure is called renounced pleasure. The materialistic pleasure, Buddha says, as a household pleasure. So one person who is thread-passing from the household pleasure to the immaterial pleasure, or the renounced pleasure, he can see like a person climbing up to the mountain and he can see far away, or climb to a tower. If you still can come down. You can climb back. And whenever you climb back, that you are filled with Nissarana or hindrances, and you can't see far away. Your sight become very short-sighted, and it's called achakku karano, andha karano, panya nirodhako, anibbana sangvattaniko. Whenever your mind is puddled with sensuous pleasure, hatred, sloth and torpor, entertaining doubts, and past and future thinking, make you blind. Your eyes are not working, and your knowledge will never penetrate through. And you are far away from Nibbana. And that is why yogis, at a time, they experience kind of concentration and they feel very happy. But next moment, everything scattered off. Again you become, so it's a blessing. It's a blessing because you understand the potential now. I have the potential, but again I come back. And again, whenever the alignments are there, again I can climb up the mountain and see. But there's a kind of a situation you can't live on the top of the mountain. It's an operation theatre. You can't live inside. You have to, after the operation, you have to come back. When you come back, you are full of germs. So there's one book called Thus Spake Zarathustra, I think, by Nietzsche. And in the first chapter he explained the highly developed hermit living on the top of the mountain, only one person, and after living in such a pure situation, he feels, what is the use of living myself on the top of the mountain? I should climb down and go to the fish market and see what the life is. And he's justifying, leaving aside all the purity, all the good air, water and everything, he's climbing down and go to the fish market. He's a qualified person to live in the fish market as well as in the top of the mountain. The justification, classic. So yogi also, after the retreat, when you go there, it's like climbing from this heavenly situation or from the top of the mountain, go back to the fish market. Nothing to fight, nothing to worry, because that is the way we are seasoning ourselves. But Pandita said to give an extra classic example. He says when shuttle going to the, for example, the Apollo 11, the Saturn rockets, when they are going to the moon, it is 200 odd meters high, and to push the shuttle above the gravitational force, it is burning 3 big rockets. And that is to raise the rocket 6 miles. Maybe about 10 meters. And then it's becoming horizontal and turning around the orbit, and there onward it is not using much of energy. Because one pushed, it is going there because no friction. And then it is shooting to the moon and going there, and when it is coming back, at the beginning it has to exert so much of energy. Likewise, to renounce the world or renounce the household life, we are exerting so much of energy. And then when we are living in the monastic atmosphere, it need no much. Someone would come and give you something to eat. No much of expenditure, of course. Whenever in Perth situation, you have to pay some premium. But if you come to Sri Lanka, everything free. 100 people, they meditate, everything free. But still they wish to go back home. So daily asking question, one say, we are very happy here, what shall we do go back home? Then I told, why should you go home? Stay back, will you? But you see, you can't stay there. There's a kind of a thing. So what I'm going to say is, when the shuttle is coming back, if it is not reaching the air in a particular angle calibrated up to the 100th degree, it will burn. If it is too flat, it will push off to the space. So this time I went to the deep sea observatory in the Canberra. Earlier I had the number, but the lady explaining, she do not know. It is somewhere around 4 degree and 5, 6, up to the 100th calibration, then only it can cut through the thinnest air and still the outer crux will be burnt off. And they show the outer crux. And still the astronauts, they don't feel it, but it's a burning happen. And then only it's slowly coming to the earth, not with direct coming, if it is so, it's still burned like meteors and kind of thing, and coming and put into the Atlantic Ocean. And imagine when you go back home, if you are directly go with this kind of, you will burst. If you have too much of renounce idea, your family members will kick you off. You get out, don't come back home. What is this nonsense that you are talking about? Now you're at home, you don't know. The yogi is going to the atmosphere of the monastic atmosphere and gain little bit of concentration. And when you go home, you don't know how to behave with your family members. You are trying to convince them. You are foolish fellows. You have no, ethics. You don't have sila. I am no so and so. I got my sila straightened, and once in a way you don't know. I have so much of concentration. I feel like floating, and I feel like in the blank, and they know you are mad. You are not mendicants, but you are in asylum. So therefore the concentration make that much of a change from the known, from the materialistic sphere is going to the immaterial sphere, indriya baddha to the anindriya baddha. So it's a big leap. But the point I am making is going once is not enough. But going once indicate you have the potential. And again, then onward, you have to adjust your lifestyle, adjust your speaking, adjust your day-to-day activities to make second, third, fourth, fifth going into concentration easier. Because once you have gone in. But still if you are not making that conducive conditions, meditation cannot do it. So if you are doing, what is the benefit? Benefit is you are going to see things as they are. The knowledge and vision happen whenever the concentration happen. You see your object in different way. So whenever Jnanarama used to say, the very, very gross way, whenever you started with your breath, whenever you're going to start with your rising and falling, or whenever you're going to start with the touch point, or whenever you are going to start with the left leg, right leg, like walking meditation, it's normally happen with gross, otherwise our mind never take it as an object. The mind is very gross. Only the gross thing it can tackle. So that is why Mahasi Sayadaw, instead of the breath, which is very subtle, he proposed rising and falling. It became so popular in the West, even in Sri Lanka. Because the breath is, many complain they can't observe it, because mind is so gross. When the mind, and imagine, some or the other you connected with the breath, or rising and falling. Rising and falling, you can keep the hand, left hand, on your belly, tummy, and see the physical movements. And when you are sitting and touching, you can understand what is the difference between walking, touching, and sitting, touching. So they are gross things. So when you start with that, it's difficult to keep the attention, keep the mindfulness, keep the vigilance, keep the diligence with that particular object. Because our monkey mind. But anyway, to make the long story short, we'll say you manage. And then if you are not observing what is happening to this touching and sitting and touching point, if you are not observing what is the chronological changes in your in-breath and out-breath, if you are not looking at the chronological changes in the rising and falling, you feel bored. You feel, yes, I am with breath, but then what? It's just air. How can I go to Nibbana with air? Air means hulang in Sinhala. Useless. And by looking at rising and falling, how can you go there? I have seen it, no use. That teacher is no good. That object is no good. That meditation center is no good. Can I have something new? And if you are not comparing your sitting and touching with the walking experience, and how chronologically it is changing, definitely you fall into the trap of boredom. But now I am slowly taking every one of you to the Vipassana. In Samatha, you are not supposed to see the changing nature of the object. You are taking the object as a nimitta, something like a wall paint, wall hanger. So you are looking at it. Once it is gone there, if you have the samatha, the vipassana inclination, you are not looking at the object, you are not glance at the object, you see as and when you are observing what is happening to the object. So this is we call the evolution. This is we call impermanence. This is we call metamorphosis. So that our mind and our eye or our mental eye never train to that situation. Even if you observe it, you consider it as a threat to your mindfulness, threat to your concentration, because object is disappearing. So to avoid that, Venerable Jnanarama used to say, hey yogi, at the beginning what you see, the breath or rising and falling or sitting may be gross. When you're observing, if you are successful, if all the faculties are comprehensive energy come into that, it may be subtle. So it is not a mistake, it is not your mindfulness is reducing, it is not your concentration is eroding, this is the way it is happening. So therefore now to keep the objective in view with, you have to be more focused, more attentive, more vigilant, more diligent. So when you go prepared for the gross to subtle, then only then you can see subtle to the subtlest. That is the point the Buddha says, imagine a magician showing a magic show in a crossroad and how he camouflage people. In Sinhala we call asbandung. They do kind of a thing. Ultimately everyone can't understand how that is showing the living fish or flying pigeon. Everything is tricks. So the same trick happens when you are observing the primary object. If you do not know, if the consciousness is nothing but a magician, only you can understand is, his magic is not allowing the same thing to happen again and again, so always changing the facet. But your mind is not ready for that. That is why you get the concentration. There may be a chance, there not be any yathabhuta jnana dassana if you get attached to your concentration. If you do not know how to maintain the concentration. That is why the Buddha says this concentration is right concentration. If the right concentration happens, you are not attached to your concentration, and it is you can maintain for a while, and meanwhile you observe at your object in a revolutionary way. Expect changes to happen. So it is a psychological threat. Because our psychology is based upon something firm. Economy, politically and socially, we all constitution everything to fix the political stability, economic background and social stability, and that is what the politicians and the governments are going to promise us. So each one you believe it, you dismiss Buddha. It's impossible. Even the Buddha as the king, it is impossible. He says, darling, you look at it in such a way, it is not critical, it is not nihilistic, it is not destructive. Just look at it, they are changing. By mere your wish, it won't happen. So what about going prepared? So therefore, even if you have the right concentration, the preparedness of your mind. Things may be changing, but it is not a threat to you. It is not a threat to your concentration. It is not a threat to your mindfulness. And of course, it is a way the wisdom sets in. So the Buddha, synonymously, like a synonym for the mindfulness, he introduced appamada, diligence, the vigilance, and see things as they are. So the serious meditators, or I would say serious research people in America, they ask, even if you some or the other give the concentration, why people are not ready to see the changing nature? Is it genetical thing? Or is it a karmic force They don't accept karmic force. And they say some people, whenever the concentration happens, naturally they have the inclination, under the light of mindfulness and the concentration, to see the changing nature. But others, it's a threat. They become lonely. They feel cornered. They feel psychologically lonely. Prepared people consider as aloneness. And unprepared people, and people, their genetical configuration is not there, they feel lonely and they run. And in Sri Lanka, they go for the Kovila and start black magic, telling something happened, I can't tell you. So therefore better to have the blessing of the God. And we have no proper God, there are a lot of gods in Sri Lanka. And each and every temple, well enough, have enough gods. So much of the gaining not coming from the Pimpetiya near the Buddha. You know Pimpetiya, the tall box? The higher thing comes from the God. Because people, whenever meditation happens, something changing happens, they become threatened. Their psychology get upset. And therefore they go to the God and says, please re-establish my psychology. That is exactly what the psychologists are doing. Psychiatrists are doing. When you are complaining, something wrong. If the psychiatrist is not a Buddhist, if the psychiatrist is not backed with the impermanent nature, he is re-establish your ego. Whenever something goes wrong, not that I am telling the way I can do without psychiatrists, but when are the psychiatrists going to say in meditation, this kind of evolution can happen from the materialistic pleasure to the immaterial pleasure, from the sense organs to the departed from the sense organs, still mindfulness is there, still the concentration is there. And no one can expect how such a big plane take off from the ground and get the aerodynamics. So this is an inner acrobat. So you have to understand. When it's happening, so you feel now you are in a different dimension, different equilibrium, and when it is happening, don't make movements till the pilot switch off the safety belt sign. After 100 meters only, once you race after 100 meters from the ground level only, pilot switch off the seat belt sign. Till that you have to give cooperative to the pilot. And then only you can understand, after the gaining certain amount of seasoning of the mindfulness as well as the concentration, then again you can go into playing radical way with in the new dimension. And that is the point where we become religious, we become spiritual, and now heavy things are much lighter, and you feel, generally in meditation report they say, boundless situation. Kind of emptiness, you go, that can be explained in 5 ways. Whenever you get leave, whenever you get departed from the materiality, Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi, you go to the space. The lack of Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi, I hope you know Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi. Whenever they may be, when you go, it is called Akasa. And when and where you are bounded and bonded with pain and pleasure, whenever you come to, it's called no pain, no pleasure sphere. And when and where you have perception, auspicious and unauspicious, you come to a sphere, no memory. Things are happening and passing so quickly, no memory. And as far as the volitional activity is concerned, meritorious and demeritorious activity, you come to the sphere, no volitional activity. Visankhara gata. And there you think everything is happening, you are merged to the nature. Earlier it is a fearful thing. Of course, if you have psychological imbalance, always it is fearful. Because like a kite cut off from the thread, now it is just moving. No, not connected. And the vijnana come to the sphere. Earlier, till the vijnana come up to that level, you have the limitation me and not me. The boundary was there. So whenever mind goes to that higher level of concentration, you feel, I am. But boundaries are not there. Easily you can check. Oh, these are the points we can understand. We are testing. Now the seat sign, the belt sign gone. So you can test it. You are not bonded with the Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo, the gross material. Instead you are in space. The pain and pleasure often in the center, no pain, no pleasure. And hardly you can call under the category of pain or feeling, feeling, but still the feeling sphere is there, that's not titillating you. And the senses, perception is you can't label it. And you have no memory. So you feel like sleeping. So you feel like nodding. You feel like body posture is collapsing. Because the consciousness is losing its boundaries. And you are still newly born baby. Just like a newly born baby, how to learn walking. 2-3 steps like falling down. Again 2-3 steps like falling down. So likewise nodding can start. I am not telling everyone must nod. Please. That is not I am telling. But it can happen. Because some people go with pain, some people, hedonic or feeling. Some people they are bound with perception, others are with the volitional. Vedana, Sanya, Chetana. We are in the whole congregation here. When you go up to that level, we take our own paths. So therefore, different people feel different things. So that understanding is what you call things as they are. Who am I? Whenever I leave the sensuous pleasure and sense-related area, now you can see who am I. But you must have self-critical or under a video camera. Otherwise, you are going to adjust it. You are going to treat symptoms utter foolish. To understand the symptom, reiterate it, let it happen 1001 times, and as much as possible report it. Then I come up to that level. I feel sometimes no boundaries. I feel sometimes no feelings. I feel sometimes my everything forgotten, like Alzheimer or dementia. Your close memory gone. And some people, they say, Bhante, you are telling like it is true, but still I go to the psychiatrist. And he says nothing wrong. But better to have some medicine, so he gave some psychedelic or placebo, and then he feel good. But he don't know he is losing the whole set of memory or the perception, and you are ready to newly born, to have the new screen, that you don't feel happy. Because accumulated things, that is your set of defilements, is your identity. With that only you recognize people, with that only you understand the nature. So you are not happy to get rejuvenated. Therefore you are always seeking your familiar figures, familiar sounds, familiar smells, familiar taste, familiar touch, and familiar mad thinking. Your own pattern of thinking. But there, whenever you go there, you give a new chance. Hardly any person can entertain it or take it as an endowment. But lucky enough, each and everything is being written, and Buddha tried his best to experience, learn it, but everyone is not qualified to read it and get the extract, because you have to go beyond samadhi, sila level and samadhi level, and still you must understand, now I am learning, who am I? The who am I is a Hinduistic kind of a way, but understanding when and where I am with 5 nivaranas, when and where I with transgressional kind of defilements, I am almost like a beast. Reptilian it is called. But still you can evolve from the reptilian life to mammalian life to the human life, and human life to still superhuman life. And again you can come back. And this is the most beautiful part in your meditative life. You are like a chameleon, changing the nature according to the climate. Wherever you live, you can adapt it. So, Pandita Sayadaw is using that epithet in the wrong way. He called chameleon yogis. Sometimes they are very seriously meditating 24 hours, and another 24 days you are relaxed. Again you take very tight and serious. That is what the Sayadaw says as chameleon yogis, and that is what the lay life is. Not only lay life, I think the Venerables will excuse me, that is also in the monk's life also, hardly they meditate. They have so much of work. Sometimes more than lay people. Which is not nice to say, because I am also in the same company. So we have to safeguard our reputation. So this is the way, this is the trap the Mara is setting. So therefore, when and where you are given to align yourself and go into such a deep state, don't worry about to see what is the moon, what is the sun. See, who am I? Even then, don't wait or don't be happy with one single looking. Look at it again and again. How it is in the morning time, how it is in the evening time. How it is before the meal, how it is after the meal. How it is before the trip, how it is after the trip. Everything is changing, but still there's a theme. There's a kind of we call personality traits. We call directed dispositions. We call the undercurrent happening. So that's why we are different. But the potential-wise we are the same. They are aligned in such a way, so we do not know who am I. And whenever we give a big array of selection, we always select whatever the most destructive for the person. He himself do not know what is my well-being, what is my compassion. So best thing is to let the nature to decide, let the mindfulness to decide. So here now you give the chance for the mindfulness and the concentration to happen, but you are so vigilant to see why I take delight of this, why I hate this, why I take this habituation, why I am always expecting and planning this kind of thing. Being present moment is the most contented moment. What is the motivation for me to have future plan? And what is the use of regretting about the past? And I am thinking my primary duty is to service the other people or my child or my father. I mean, fair enough. Each time you think you are not mindful. Utterly not. Therefore it says, be mindful and mind your own business first. And then you are qualified become to help others once you serve yourself. Otherwise it is called vested interest. You think it is my duty to look into that, and that is what we call politics. So therefore it says that they are never using jnana dasana, no concentration. So there may be sometimes in future you can transplant the brain. Presently it is impossible. You can transplant the kidney and kind of. If you happen to get a brain, get a politician's brain. It's brand new. Brand new. Don't worry, think about the labor or something like that, because they are being used. They are always asking the secretary, they never use it. So these are the jokes, the irony, and they are the bloody fellows deciding the policies. And not in the single, mass scale. All education today is to make slaves for them. We are losing our solitude. We do not know how to live alone. We do not know how to live in the forest. We do not know how to sit under a tree. We do not know how to sit in a solitude place. I respect scouting and Girl Guides. It's the only thing asking you to go to forest and live there, put a fireplace and dance. And the next thing is the monkhood. We go there, we are the happiest people. Depending upon you people, therefore I can't blame you all the time. Because otherwise you won't give the tomorrow breakfast and the lunch and the hell of a problem. So I have to keep certain reservation, and that is the place it is happening. So what is the value of economy? What is the value of politics? What's the value of social values? They are all, in a sense, conspiracy. Not that the modern conspiracy, even at the time of the Buddha, also it was there. Imagine Buddha was a one-man army in such a big Brahmanic society, full of caste system, full of hierarchy, and full of everything happen. He comes and says, we all are human. But the first person, of course not the first, the Jaina and leader also gave, the female are also at the same capacity. Till that, they were completely considered half souls, pada paricharika. Their main duty is to serve males. But these two people boldly told, and lucky enough, there's no assassination, there's no martyrdom. They were so skillful, Buddha has a natural death. Even the Mahavira, also the natural death. Both of them are from the Kingsley family. And they make such a revolution, not fighting with. And some people explain why Jesus Christ was crucified. He went against the ruling party, killed. Just before the day, there was two people selected to crucify, Barabbas and Jesus. They asked people, Pilate, now two people, but tomorrow being a holy day, I have a chance to release one person. Who is to release? Everyone told, Barabbas, 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 Barabbas. Jesus must be crucified. Because he created a turmoil in the society. But the Buddha, he was carrying the flag, just like carrying a torch underwater. So we meditators also must know, whenever we have certain amount of concentration, we must be very, very humble. We must be very, very straightforward. You must be very, very ready to verify what I am talking about, what I am experiencing. It is not an imagination, that is something verifiable. That verifiability, first time introduced by the Buddha, that is what we call the scientific world. The difference is, Buddha teaching us to verify internal factors, science took it to the external factors. It is prolific. Making so much of commodity, more you become scientific, you are losing yourself, you are losing to the present moment, you are losing to oneself. So this is what happens. So governments are very happy now. Because people are under heavy pressure, heavy tension. So it is very easy to control people when they are under tension. The government is one after the other. They have rumors, they make wars, and tell the people now the global warming is happening, that Australia is burning, and so everyone is no one is in the present moment. But even though the gross picture, the system is like that, you can be here and now. No one can stop. It's an art. You are not fighting with them, but you are being mindful, being here and now. You are making a silent sermon. Don't try to adjust the people, but yes, everything is burning, everything is no harm. I am mind my own business. No one can find fault with you. Still the rules and regulations are not to put you into jail. If possible, they will put into. But it's a crime according to the present day, because you are not developing social values. Social values are the main secret in the present day curriculum. But the Buddha says, yes, you can have certain social values, you can be a princely and you can be kingly and you can be whatever. But your human right is be here and now. Now we are not only that preliminary stage, the here and now is going to give you the ethics, moral shame and the moral fear, and the restraint of your sense faculties, and the restraint of your virtues, and then the concentration. And at that level only you can understand, if you are ready enough, who am I? Otherwise we are in a camouflage, we are in a role play. We are living in the society, just acting, and we never become ourselves. Because in front of the people, we are in such a tension. So imagine you are living in the forest and waiting for tomorrow to have your meal, and then you can live as you like. So you may call this as barbaric, and you may call this aboriginal, and you may call it as uncivilized. But looking at the face of the Buddha, you can't say, because Buddha says to start meditation, go to the forest. To start meditation, sit under a tree. Go to a solitude place. So therefore we are on the way. So far 5 days, no one died yet. I don't know what is going to happen next, tomorrow, day after. Anything can happen, because it is such a contradictory thing to the society outside. Thanks to Ajahn Brahm, because we have a place and we have decided. So therefore, when and where alignments are there, just try to see who am I, and there what you find is utter ignorance. You find when and where I am thinking and using senses, when and where extrovert, what a kind of colossal idiot and foolishness we have. Instead, when everything happens, whenever you try to understand who am I, you understand no one can do it for you. You can't do it for tomorrow. You can't do it for yesterday. You have to do it here and now. And what an alignment it should be there. Even if you have that alignment, still you may be other directed. So that is why we have to have discussions. That's why we call sakachanugahita. We are discussing each other because Buddha is no more. We have to tell the fellow, yes, you are with mindfulness. Yes, you are with concentration, but you are other directed. Then he will tell me, yes, Bhante, you also this. Yes. Under such circumstances, whenever things align, we think about politics and economics and whatever it may be. So we have to each of us must be mirror to each other. And then the discussion, dialogue or communication. Present day, communication is utter nonsense, even though we are living in IT technology. There is no such a miscommunication in human life, human history, and it will never happen among animals because they don't have IT. You can't teach monkeys and elephants and IT technology. So their communication is still preliminary, and one day we have to learn from them. They are living down to earth. And therefore we, by meditation and learning things as they are, is we call de-learning. We call deconstruct, and we come back to the child psychology. It is not childish, but to be childlike psychology. And there the basic feature is no tension, no frustration. So being we are on halfway, I think you have to reshuffle and rethink about it, but it is not only by wish. You have to be skillful in meditation. Whenever the situation mature enough, whenever situation is given, try to understand who am I and what a kind of thing. On simple we can say, what kind of a motivation is there. And there you can find everyone is the same. We can't say he is better than me or he is worse than me, because this is the same. So that is why Carl Jung tried to explain we are in the universal consciousness, universal unconscious. And when you go into that, everyone is the same. And there you see humanity. As far as we think we are the better, we are superior and we are arrogant, we are not human. But it is not a permanent damage. You can come back. And with that invitation, I would like to sum up the day's talk. Thank you very much for listening.